car will not be on the road. So that insurance is of no use to you, right? But that's what how the insurance companies work, right? You'll have to buy a policy for a year. 2 days back, they have come up with a, and this is India specific news, by the way, right? So 2 days back, one of these insurance providers have come back with this solution wherein you will get a dynamic insurance policy. So whenever your car is actually on the road, you can buy a dynamic insurance policy for a day, for 1 week, for 1 month, whatever you feel like, right? You can even have it for a day, right? So you say that today I'm driving, I'm going to go to some place, so let me get my policy renewed online, for a day only, and you pay a fragment of the overall insurance value, overall premium value, right? Similarly, if you think that I'm going to be going overseas for, let's say, 3 months, and I do not need to actually have my car's insurance covered or my driver's insurance covered, you don't need to pay for that, right? So that this is a disruption. This is what we call as disruption, something which is a new way of doing a business, some new approach of doing things, right? So um, so if you see around in last few years, there has been a major disruptions around you in the businesses, right? Like Ola, Uber, being aggregators, like, Trivago, sort of a company which doesn't own any hotel, but then there are aggregator like Airbnb, right? Like Facebook, like Alibaba, right? All of these are basically disruptors. And what is this disruption basically fueled by? This disruption is powered by technologies, various technologies, right? So if you see this, these are the few technologies which have really transformed, the typical conventional approach of doing businesses, the classical computing model, big time, right? Now, if you see the overall, these are like 5, 6 major technologies, but then there are a few more, right? So we're just going to focus on these. Now, these include, of course, blockchain, augmented reality, AI, ML, big data analytics, mobility, IoT. But if you see at the top, almost 63% of all this transformation is powered by cloud in some way, right? So either you're using a cloud as infrastructure offering, or you are using cloud as a platform service or a software as a service, whatever it be. But 63% and more is basically powered by cloud. This is the data from 2018. So it's basically 2 years, 2018, right? 2-year old data. And with all this COVID-19 and all this scenario that everybody has to stay back, dependency on cloud has really gone surged above like anything. It has really, gone over the board, right? So today, all the applications are sitting on cloud. All these learning platforms that you talk, they're all on cloud. So you just imagine, right? How much more is cloud important today? Okay. And that's the reason you should be learning, you should be knowing, or you should be telling more about cloud to your students and even yourselves, right? You should be enabling yourselves on cloud. Now try and understand one more thing here, right? Cloud is like an umbrella technology. It's like an umbrella, right? On which, all these subsidiary technologies, I call them, plug to it, right? So be it big data analytics, be it mobility, be it blockchain, be it, augmented reality, be it ML, all of this, right? Basically plug on back to the cloud. But the enabling umbrella is basically the cloud, right? Under which all the other things come and hook up, right? If you see from an enterprise adoption point of view, almost 80 to 85% of development today is primarily being done for cloud-based applications, right? And it's not just the native cloud applications, even the legacy applications are to be basically pulled on the cloud, right? Almost 60% of enterprises are looking to, have their applications on cloud using containers, right? So I'm sure you would understand containers, Dockers. These are the de facto standards of deployment of applications today on the cloud, because they provide for a lot more isolation. The workload can stay in silos and pretty much secure on the cloud, right? And again, the organizations have been really struggling with the amount of information, the amount of data that they have, that how they can actually leverage this data, right? With all the advent, with all the big data analytics tool, which really are able to mine your unstructured data, companies are really struggling to find that how they can, get more insights from that existing data. So earlier, you were not using your log files, your installation files, right? What are the parameters on the machine when you're installing a certain application? What are the various logs getting generated? How is the system behaving? Because that was all in a unstructured format, like a txt file or so. And primarily the focus of all the people in IT were focused on is structured data. That's why we had SQL, right? Structured query language. But today, with all this NoSQL and all that is available to us, with all so many databases which support unstructured content like Redis, MongoDB, and all that, NoSQL, Cloud and NoSQL, uh, unstructured data has been really handy, right? And this really makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what, right? So organizations have been increasingly looking towards cloud and AI in order to drive the digital transformation. Okay, this is a typical model migration landscape where the current applications which are on-prem are when they are moved onto the cloud-based scenario or a multi-cloud scenario. So we don't talk about a single cloud, right? Cloud is all about adopting the best things which are available on different clouds. So maybe you are happy with something on IBM Cloud. Maybe you want to leverage IBM Watson from IBM Cloud, right? At the same time, you might like to, utilize a service from Amazon, right? AWC, or maybe Google for that matter, right? So that's what you basically pull out the best things together and stitch a solution using, the best of the possible things. So that's what is the new application landscape, right? It basically talks about a multi-cloud scenario, not a particular cloud vendor, so that you're not hooked up, you're not logged into a particular cloud vendor, right? And the good piece with cloud is you can really choose the best possible options and you can stitch them together, right? So as this application landscape, which talks about, right, integration of IBM Cloud with AWS, with Azure, various platform service providers. Similarly, you can also, have multiple APIs from different vendors brought in together and, talking to your solution. Okay. Um, yeah, so let's skip a few charts. Don't worry about that. I'll quickly also try to give you a glimpse why is cloud so much important? What's the real value which the cloud drives, right? So if you see the CAGR point of view, right, which is basically the compound annual growth rate, basis the traditional IT versus crowd, either public or private, then the public cloud is really growing almost at 30%, right, compared to the private cloud, which is actually growing at 16%. And if you see that with reference to the conventional on-premise traditional IT, which is actually, almost -8%, it's going down, right? So hence, you really need to adopt to new application development for cloud, particularly for private public cloud. At the same time, you have to understand the integration APIs available on various public clouds, how you can actually work with them. You also need to think about the migration strategies. We call them lift and shift, right? How you can lift and shift the traditional IT applications onto the cloud, right? And then, of course, since we're talking about containerized microservices based application, so the application becomes a lot more portable, in order to pull it to the cloud, right? Okay. So, and we are all aware of this, right? This is like an information explosion. Almost all the devices today that we use, right, from a microwave to a refrigerator to a car or even a pacemaker in a heart, they all use, they all use certain lines of code. And that means that much information is getting generated from all these devices. And the idea is to tap into this information, to tap into this data so that you can get more insightful decisions. That's what is the idea, right? So information is so much more around us compared to what it was 10 years back. And with the evolution of computing, with the cost going too low, over the years, I'm sure you would, since you're all faculties, you would definitely realize there was this time when the hardware was so much more costlier, right? To get even a 256 MB of RAM powered laptop or a desktop was so much costly compared to getting a 8 GB powered mobile phone today. So you see the mobile phones coming with 8 GB, 6 GB these days, right? Which has become a norm. So even the mobile phones are even more powerful than what a laptop or a desktop is, right? And this has all been possible because of the cost of compute, which has gone down over the years, and the compactness which has increased over the years, right? So right from 70s when we had these typical dumb terminals, from sometime in 90s when we had this client server computing model, and then came the virtualized environments and software defined everything, right, in 2010s. Today we are really on a cusp of big time adoption of cloud based applications, right? So as I was telling you earlier, this is what is just three basic cloud service models that we have. I'm sure you would all know that. I'll not go into the details of this. Infrastructure as a service, platform as a service and software as a service, right? Most of you are using software as a service on your mobile phone in various ways, be it WhatsApp, be it Google Drive, be it webmail, whatever you're using. They're all, examples of a SaaS, right? Now let's try and understand the other two, right? So, and I'll just try to cover it very quick, broader way because I understand that you would know this. Now, let's say uh, uh, this is a typical, a computing example where you have on the left hand side the stack is, or the left hand side column basically talks about the various layers which are to be managed in a traditional on-premise computing, right? So your laptops or desktop which you own right now, they would normally have all these layers, in some other way on it, and you will be yourself managing all of it. So whether there is an OS problem, your operating system is not booting up, or your memory is running out, or your some application you want to run which is not running. So all of this is typically managed by you today, right? You will take care of all of these problems. Now, as you actually move to a cloud-based, cloud service-based model, you will try to see that, how certain layers you are looking to outsource to some cloud vendor, right? So in a typical infrastructure as a service offering, you have a few layers, right, from virtualization to server to storage to networking, even operating system for that matter, where these are all provided by the vendor, right? The cloud vendor. So let's say if you're coming to IBM, looking for an infrastructure opportunity. Now, why do you look for an infrastructure as a service? Let's try and understand that piece as well here. Let's say you are doing a research, right? And your research algorithm requires high amount of compute power. I'm just throwing some random numbers. Please do not take them like that, right? So let's say your algorithm is very heavy. It requires heavy parallel processing. There are multiple threads to be simultaneously run. So you say that I need, let's say, 512 GB of RAM, okay, the memory as a main memory, to bring all these processes into the main memory and simultaneously execute them. Now you'll not go to market to buy a machine worth such a huge memory size, right? It may not be feasible and it may not be even practical to buy one, right? Now, how do you do that, right? So maybe the lab in the college or even in other places may not give you that sort of a facility, right? And then even if you say your algorithm might only need maybe a 1 day to run, and that's it. Once you get the results of the algorithm, you are able to put that in a research paper, and that's it. You don't need that machine any further. So what it means is you need that infrastructure for a very small period of time, maybe a few hours, maybe a day, maybe 2 days, maybe a week, or let's say a month at max, right? And that's it. After that, you don't need it, right? So if you don't need it, you don't need to put money into buying that resource, right? So what you can do is you can actually go to a cloud vendor like IBM, and you can customize a machine, right? A virtualized machine or a bare metal machine depending upon your requirement, and you can pay for that machine on an hourly basis, right? It's not that you have to pay for like a monthly or something like a very exaggerated amount of money here. So if you're using that machine only for 1 hour, you only pay some $0.02, right? Something like that, depending upon the configuration of the machine. So that's what is the infrastructure piece, where the cloud vendor takes care of these underlying 4 5 layers for you, and the rest of it, the layers are being brought in by you, right? So you are given a machine and you deploy your own operating system, or you even get an operating system license, or you bring in your own development environment, you run your own algorithm, and that's it, right? You're taking care of your entire stuff. Let's move to the other other side, right, where you have a platform as a service as an offering from IBM or some other cloud vendor, right? So what's in there? Let's say you have given or you are being tasked with developing an application on .NET, right? You have to develop a fee management system using Microsoft .NET, right? Or maybe using a C sharp, Visual C sharp or something. Now, in order to develop that application, what you need is you need a development environment, right? So you might need a machine, you might need a .NET framework installed on that. You might need a Visual Studio IDE. You might also need a database server like MS SQL, or maybe a DB2, or maybe something like that. And in case you are looking to develop this free application as a web application, then you also need to have a web server like Apache Tomcat or a WebSphere or maybe an IIS or something, right? Now, this is what is the typical development environment. So before you can start coding, you need to develop and create this environment on your local machine, right? So this will take some amount of time, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, or whatever, right? Whatever X number of hours. And on top of that, if there is some issue in installation, like some dependency is not being met, your operating system does not support a particular software, there are sort of so many complications possible. And so what you'll be doing is you'll be struggling to actually create a development environment before you can start developing your application. So half of your energy will actually get wasted into all of that stuff, right? So that's what we move to. That's when we move to platform as a service, where we actually go to some cloud vendor, and we also look for even a runtime or a middleware being offered by the cloud, right? So let's say for IBM Cloud, right? So you can go to IBM Cloud. You have various SDKs available for different languages. You have some pre-built applications available there. I'll show that to you in a while, which you can quickly leverage, and you can get started with developing your project, right? So you're not bothered about what is there underlying as a development environment, means how that is hosted, that is being provided by the vendor to you. You simply go and you actually work on the data and application 2 layers there, right? And you're familiar with the SaaS offerings that you are using. The entire application is offered as a sandbox, as a black box to you. You don't have to bother about where is this Google Drive hosted, what is the underlying OS, whether it's a virtualized or it's a bare metal machine, how is this being offered to me. You're not bothered about any of it, right? Similarly, like something like a WhatsApp, right? You don't bother to know that whether it's running on a Windows or a Linux, or what sort of security is there. All that you have is a chat offering which you're using. And by the way, this is hosted on IBM Cloud, right? WhatsApp is hosted on IBM Cloud, right? So this is just a quick recap about the service cloud computing service models, right? And then you have these different types of cloud adoption models. Like it can be a private cloud, it can be a public cloud, it can be a dedicated, and it can even be a hybrid cloud, right? So let me quickly go and take you through the IBM Cloud. Like what is there on IBM Cloud for you, right? So I'll quickly go to IBM Cloud just to give you a view about that. Okay, so here I am on IBM Cloud, right? So this is my catalog. Catalog is basically various offerings that you would have, right? So I have almost like 190 plus services across different subcategories, right? So if I have to duplicate this, just see this, right? So under compute category, under containers, under networking, whether I need a AI machine learning services or analytics services or various integration services, whether I want to work on IoT or security or a mobile application, I've got services across different categories here, right? So let me just quickly give you a glance of a few of them. So let's say I'm interested in compute. Compute is nothing but infrastructure offering, right? So I can actually create a virtual server from here. I can create a bare metal machine from here, right? You can see that, right? Bare metal versus virtual, right? I'm not sure if you understand the difference. Let me quickly give you the difference about it. So normally on a cloud, what happens here is the instances or the machines that you get are virtual machines. Now you all understand how virtual machines work, right? So there will be a base operating system. On top of that base operating system, you will have some hypervisor, which will help you in creating virtualized instances of the operating system. We call them as guest operating system, right? So you have the first layer of base operating system, and then you may have another guest operating system, right? And then you have a layer of virtualizer or hypervisor sitting between the two. Now the point here is not all workloads are suitable for virtualized computing or virtualized servers. How? Let's say you are using a pen drive, or you are using a tape drive to read back and forth between the application. So where is your hardware? Your hardware is connected at the at the base operating system layer, right? And you are trying to access the hardware resources using your guest operating system. So there are a couple of layers between these to facilitate the communication between the guest operating system to the hardware, which is basically controlled by the base operating system. So what happens here is if the workload is IOPS intensive, IOPS means input output process intensive. What will happen is there will be multiple back and forth fetching the data from the hardware or writing back to the hardware. That will happen back and forth. And this will really, because there are multiple layers between that, there will be a lot of latency which will get creep into the solution, which will really affect the overall performance of the application, right? So to facilitate such solutions or such workloads, there is something called as a bare metal. The bare metal is a specific dedicated hardware, a machine available on the cloud, particularly for one vendor, for one client, right? And the client has the complete control of the machine, irrespective how the VM is being offered. On a bare metal, you have a complete control of the machine. You can slice the machine, you can dice the machine based upon how you want the machine to, to work. Compared to this virtual server, you do not have that control, right? You only have a interface where you work on the typical top 4 5 layers. So you cannot control the machine at the hardware, right? So this is the difference between virtual compared to that of a bare metal, right? So on IBM Cloud, you get both the functionalities of a bare metal as well as a virtual server, right? And then you have something called as power systems. Now, power systems is IBM specific hardware architecture, which is really very much compliant to big data analytics because of heavy parallel computing, right? So that's also there. Then you have a few more there. So there's a HyperProtect virtual server offered, which runs on IBM Linux One, right? Which is the most secure Linux-based platform. So this is about compute offerings in IBM Cloud, right? The second thing is container based. So today the de facto standard on for enterprise adoption is Kubernetes and OpenShift, right? So Red Hat OpenShift, if you remember, IBM acquired Red Hat a year and so. The complete acquisition got completed. So the entire Red Hat offerings are offered on IBM Cloud now, right? So whether it's a Kubernetes-based container or an OpenShift-based container, OpenShift is the open standard for infrastructure as a service as well, right? So anything which is based on OpenShift can be put on any cloud, be it IBM Cloud, Azure, Google, or wherever, right? So that's what is the container support offered over here. Then there are almost like 20 plus databases, right? Which you can leverage on IBM Cloud, right? So right from structured to unstructured object storage, DB2, a lot of them file storage, backup, block storage, they're all offered right on an IBM Cloud. Similarly, in case you are interested in exploring AI machine learning offerings, there are almost like 18 services which are available here, right? From entire Watson offerings like Watson Assistant, which is nothing but a Watson chatbot, Watson Studio, or Knowledge Catalog, which is again, for discovering and cataloging enterprise data, to Knowledge Studio, which is a complete AI machine learning platform wherein you can have data models, where you can have pull in your Python notebooks, right? And then there is a Watson machine learning platform as well. Then there is something called as natural language classifier, personality insights, text to speech, speech to text, visual recognition, complete offerings from Watson, right? Which can be related to machine learning and AI, right? In case you're looking for services on analytics, right? So there are a few services on analytics, including Big Insights for Apache Hadoop, right? So this is something which was IBM's solution for big data analytics, Big Insights. So that is also offered on IBM Cloud, which runs on top of Apache Hadoop cluster, and which can be scaled at ease. Then there is an analytics engine. There is something called as a streaming analytics service. This is typically because data is available in two forms. One is data at rest and data in motion, right? So any data which is stagnant, which is stored in a data store like SQL Server, like Oracle, that's what is data at rest. For IoT specific data, which is actually coming in from a IoT sensor device onto some data store. So that is what is called data in motion, right? So for data in motion, you have a service called as a streaming analytics, which can actually ingest the data, analyze and monitor the data on the fly, right? So that's what is streaming analytics, right? So yeah, that's what, in case you're looking to understand more about blockchain, we have a couple of blockchain related services as well, right? In case you're looking to explore some developer tools like, various tool chains, various gateways, right? Continuous delivery, continuous deploy. These are a couple of services which are available in that segment, right? And by the way, it's not just IBM services, folks. There are some third-party services also available here, right? So you can filter by IBM as well as third-party. For example, ESRI has hosted an ArcGIS service. So the APIs are available for ArcGIS for adding the power of location to your application, right? Similarly, there is something called as Morningstar, which is again a development service, right? Then you have so many location services here which are offered by different vendors, right? So which can be leveraged over here, right? So as you see, there are a lot of these services available from different third-party vendors. including Twilio, including Pitney Bowes, including a lot of them, right? Okay, so let me go further and give you further. So the complete set of offerings for logging and monitoring tools, right? Because this is really important to do analysis of the application when it is running on cloud, right? So that you can take real-time in data, real-time decisions based upon the monitoring of all these system logs, all those activity trackers of cloud and all that, right? And then there are services around integration. There are services around IoT. There is a complete framework called What's an IoT thing, Internet of Things platform, which you can leverage from here. Then there are all of these third-party services again in this segment as car diagnostics API or Bosch IoT API. A lot of them there, right? There are a couple of security related offerings and mobile related offerings. So let me quickly move from here. And I really want to give you this view that why do we need cloud at the first place, right? What is the real value that the cloud brings to us? So let me dig into it and give you a small story, and then we will try to understand about more about this, right? So I am on my dashboard, okay, and I'm just looking for one application, some application, right, just to give you a view of it. Um, Okay, so I have a few Cloud Foundry apps here. Now, Cloud Foundry is the open standard for platform as a service, folks. IBM Cloud is completely based on open standards. Okay. Okay, so let me open this up, and this is just some sample application which is running for me. The name of the application is Learning Practice 123, and what I want to explain to you is I will just show you that. So let's say this Learning 123 is a remote learning platform for my students. Okay. I have hosted all my assignments. I've hosted all my lectures on this application. Okay. And this application is right now running on 256 MB of RAM. It's using 256 MB of memory. And there is only one instance of this application running. Okay. See this 256 of MB of memory, and there is only one instance running, right? Now, let me try and explain this to you. So let's say with 256 MB of memory and on one instance, this application can cater to 1000 concurrent students, right? So at any point in time, 1000 students from my different courses or my different interns or my different college students, scholars, they can actually log into this application to access my content. But due to COVID scenario where nobody is able to come to the colleges and everybody is trying to learn online, what has happened is, this portal, so many people have started to come on this platform to learn now. So let's try and understand. 256 MB of memory running on one instance could have catered to 1000 students. Now, all of a sudden, what has happened is even the other students from different other classes have started to access this. Now, what will happen is if more than 1000 people come to this platform, try and use this application, the application will typically crash, right? So that's what happens with the on-prem application, something which is hosted on-premise, right? Let me try to add to this. Now, let's say the moment I see 900 students already logged into my this application Learning Practice 123, what I do is I basically increase one more instance of this application. So what it means is with 5112 MB, with the with the yeah, let me just say with 256 MB of memory, I had 1000 concurrent users. Now I increase this memory to 5112, right? So what happens is I can now cater to almost double the number of students. So same instance can now cater to 2000 students, right? And I'll just show it to you. How do you dynamically increase it? Like right now, I'm just plonking a number here. So that means within a fraction of a minute, I can increase the number of subscribers on a platform to almost 2000. But let's say even 1800 students have concurrently logged onto my platform now. People are continuously logging and continuously trying to access the resources available. So the moment this crosses 2000, again, this application will crash. Now I cannot sit here and I cannot do these updations on a, on a manual basis, right? This will be very difficult for me to do. Now what I can do is I basically can do to, I can actually do and configure something called as an auto scaling service. Now, this is what is one of the wonderful benefits of cloud by bringing application on cloud. Now, let's say if my application was not on cloud but running on a typical, on-premise computer, right, in my college or in my company's one of these data centers. Now, in case I had to increase the number of people, what I would have done, I would need one more machine connected to the other machine so that I can add up to the number of users, right? Or I would have to go to the data center and I would have to increase the memory on my machine from 1000 or 5112 MB to more than that, 256 MB to 512 MB or something like that, right? So the point I'm trying to make is it is not scalable. How many machines can I have readily configured? 2 machines, 3 machines, 4 machines, 5 machines at max, right? So at max, I could have catered to 5,000 users, right? In case I had 5 machines ready with me in my data center, right? As a backup, I would add all of these 5 machines in the cluster, and at maximum I can cater to 5,000 users, right? But what if the number of subscribers goes beyond 5,000, right? So my solution will anyways fail. It's bound to crash. It is not scalable. It's not scalable to the limit of the user number of users coming to the platform, right? That's where this auto scaling service comes handy, right? So let me give you a view of this. So let's say I've defined a SLA here. I say the minimum instance which I'm using is 1. And I can actually configure this SLA that at max I might be using 10 instances at some point in time, depending upon my dynamic use utilization, right? Now, this is interesting part. Then I can configure some scaling rules here. What do the scaling rules say? If the memory used is 80 MB for 120 seconds, remember I had said I am having 256 MB memory. So let's say I'm increasing this to 200, right? So let's say out of 256 MB, 200 of MB of memory is already being utilized for 120 seconds. That is 2 minutes. If that is the case, then please increase one instance to my overall solution, right? Means you scale up because there is incoming traffic. The traffic is increasing for me, okay? So as the traffic increases, so let's say going further, if the memory utilizes again 80%, I can have it in percentage as well, right? So if the memory is like 80% of the overall available memory, please increase one more instance. So that's when the number of traffic or number of subscribers are increasing on my platform. So I keep on increasing. So let's say COVID situation has just eased up, but when it was at the peak, I was using 7 instances parallelly running. So at no point in time, anybody coming to my platform will not get access. So the moment the resources are getting scarce, it will automatically explain. It will automatically. Can you please unmute yourself? I'm getting a feedback, right? Thank you. So what will happen is, so this is one approach, right? Now let's say the situation has eased up. Now they're not like 5, 7, 10,000 people coming on the platform, and the traffic is come back to the routine 200, 500 people, right? Now what will happen is, I do not need those 7 instances running now because I'll be paying for that many instances. Cloud is pay as you use, right? So if you're not using something, why should I be paying up for it, right? So I need a rule for automatically scaling down as well, right? So if the average memory is being utilized, only 30 MB of memory is being utilized for 120 seconds, please decrease one instance, right? So, and I can, again, as I said, it can be percentage based as well. This can be memory use, this can be response time, this can be based on throughput, this can be a CPU cycle as well, and this can even be a custom metric, right? So we can configure the rules based upon the typical requirement, right? So point is, I not just have to scale in, means scale up, but then I also need to scale down depending upon the typical requirement of my memory, right? The size of the people who are actually accessing my platform. Okay, so that is what is really important. Hmm? As I need more, I scale up. As I need less, I scale down, right? So this is what is it, auto scaling, right? Similarly, I have a service called as availability monitoring here, which helps me to understand the utilization of my resources, right? How are the resources being utilized? What are the available resources for me, right? So that's the availability monitoring service, right? In case I have some application which is having some issues, I can quickly, sort of isolate that issue, and I can quickly diagnose my application's problem areas, right? And this is again a part of DevOps, folks. So this is what is the benefit of cloud, right? That's the reason why majority of the ISVs application or enterprise applications are moving to the cloud. Okay, so that they can dynamically scale, they can really pay up according to the utilization of resources they are using. They can really leverage the best of possible worlds from all the different cloud vendors. They can use the best of services available across host of cloud vendors, right? So that's what I sort of explained earlier, right? That's what is the broader benefit of bringing the applications on the cloud, right? Okay, so I'll actually take a pause here, and I will allow questions, right? In case there are any question, you can put that on a chat, or you can even sort of unmute yourself and you can ask your questions. Any queries so far, guys?
So we have one question over here. We will have one question. Shruti, I'm unmuting you so you can ask question.
Can ask question.
Questions from the audience?
Okay. So I believe there's no question, right? Okay, great. So let's go further then, right? So this is what is in nutshell about what are the various services available on IBM Cloud, and I'll give you a demo to a few services, particularly the IML ones as well, right? Before that, I would like to introduce that how you can get access to IBM Cloud, right? So let me quickly give that to you. Um, so this is IBM academic initiative platform, folks. I've already given the link and in my first slide. I can again copy paste that on the chat here as well, which you can leverage. This is the link I'm on, and how you can utilize this. So on IBM Academic Initiative platform, uh, you have almost like 9 technologies which you can learn from here. And by the way, this is completely free of cost platform. There is no cost attached to it. Okay. So this has content around IBM Cloud, around data science, security, quantum computing, engineering lifecycle management, System Z, power systems, blockchain, and IBM Watson, right? So you have got content across all of these segments. So I'll just dig into maybe a few just to give you an insight. What is available on Academic Initiative platform? So let's say today we're talking about cloud. What is available from a cloud point of view, right? So see this. So this is the information is classified in 4 or 5 categories here. One is resources, software, courseware, badges, and careers, right? So a couple of learning resources are available here, which anybody can utilize. So there is a complete Red Hat Academy courses available. There are a lot of these open source programs available, which has complete content which you can leverage on. There are codes available, program codes available, which can be leveraged here. Okay. There are hundreds of software which can be downloaded for free from here, from IBM Academic Initiative platform, right? This is particularly only for academia. Only faculties and students can do that. Nobody else has access to Academic Initiative portal. Nobody else can get access to it, right? So you can actually, so normally IBM Cloud is entirely free to everyone, but then with an academic initiative, you also get some added access to this for 4 years, almost like 4 years. So you get a access code which is valid for 6 months. Every 6 months, you can renew the access code, and you can use that access. Similarly, you can use the IBM Cloud for strategically for almost like 4 years, but otherwise it's completely free forever. Then from for faculties and from a student's point of view, there are a lot of these courseware available, right? Solution tutorials. I'll show that to you, right? And a couple of more things. So these courseware can be downloaded. This can be used by you for teaching your students, even your own learning. There are a few digital badges available which are coupled to this learning, right? So whenever you learn something, how do you let the world know that you know about it, right? So there are some badges, and these are all free again, right? These are digital badges available, which you can get for free. So what you can do is you can quickly go through a few videos. You can do a free lab exercises. and you have to give few quizzes there. Once you give 70% and above correctly the quiz answers, you will be getting those badges which are available there, right? So something like this, right? This is a badge particularly, right? This is in a data science category, but then there are, for all the segments, there are badges, right? So once you clear this badge, you can use this badge on your resumes, on your social media handles. And this is, for example, say this is a foundation level badge, right? So this is a foundation level badge. And similarly, there are badges which are for intermediate skills and advanced skills as well, right? So depending upon what sort of content you are accessing, what level of the content you are in, you will have access to that. I was talking to you about solution tutorials, right? So how do you create websites or web apps, right? So entire thing is available here, right? How do you use Kubernetes? How do you use microservices, right? So you have learning content available here. How do you use create a PHP web application on a LAMP stack, right? Similarly, how do you use virtual servers? How do you use a mean stack? How do you use a serverless, right? In case you want to understand chatbots, how do you build a chatbot, right? So I'll just click on one of these just to give you a view that how the content is arranged. See, if I want to build a database driven Slack bot, means a chat bot. So see, it tells me what all services are used, what's the typical architecture, how this is connected to each other, and it gives me complete steps. Step one, this is the command. Step two, this is the command. Step three, you do this. It will give you the complete, it will give you the data sets in case it is needed. If there is a script, it will give you the script also, which is available on a public GitHub repository. I'll show you that as well in a while. The entire content is available. Now, how do you actually configure those intents and entities for a chatbot? It will give you every bit of it. All that you have to do is you have to quickly, you have to, religiously follow the steps one by one, and you will be able to, learn everything under the sun, right? So, for example, we're talking about chatbot, right? Similarly, if you want to understand something about machine learning, right? So let's say you want to build a data lake using data object storage, right? And you do not know anything about it. So don't worry, right? This is a one-stop learning resource wherein you can, create a whatever you want to have from here, right? So this is the typical storage. This is what the solution will do. It will tell you what do you need to have as a prerequisite, right? It will actually tell you how do you do a git clone. This is what you need to, this is the command. It will give you a complete command, right? If you have to log in using a command line, this is how you log in. So the entire command will be made available. See this? This is the code for this in the GitHub repo. I'll just click on this to show you that. So the entire command, the entire snapshot that how the results will look like, everything is being provided to you. Even the entire code is made available to you on a public GitHub repo, which you can quickly download from here, or you can clone from here, right? See this? Entire code base is available here, along with the complete README file, which will help you to understand, how to run the solution, what are the various commands associated, every bit of it. So all that you have to do is you have to, sort of follow this up, right? So I was showing you that. Similarly, I sort of, was telling you about how you can leverage the, say, Watson Studio, right? Somebody wants to learn about machine learning, right? So this is a complete tutorial. How do you start with starting a project, right? How do you add assets to it? How do you, so for example, this is for churn analysis, right? So it also provides you with the data set. There's a default CSV file provided, along with this code. You can download it from here, right? And once you do that, how do you can actually add that asset, how you create your own models. There are already built-in models, right? Which can be used on this data set, and you can build any data set for that matter, right? And then you can sort of train that data set, train the model with that data set, right? And you can integrate even further services along with that. So all of this is given here. See, the entire steps along with how do you do this, how do you that, even snapshots are given, everything is given over here. So all that you have to do is religiously follow these steps in order to completely learn that particular bit. Okay. Okay, so let me go back to the place I was there. So I was showing you those, those badges and those certifications, right? So this is a cloud developer certification, right, which is available here. And all of this is, by the way, available for free, right? All that you have to need is a institutional email ID to register. So, for example, in case you are a student of Chitkara or a faculty of Chitkara, so your so abc at the rate chitkara.ac.in, or whatever your institutional domain ID is, you cannot access this using a email, using a Gmail or a Hotmail or a Rediff mail. You need a institutional email ID to access the AI academic initiative content, right? And they are available across different 7 8 technologies as I showed you, right? So let's say you want to dig into data science, for example, right? This is another area, or maybe quantum computing, right? So let's see this. Again, this is structured in the similar manner. The various software available, various courseware, badges, and career also you can explore. So see, you can download a iLock Cplex optimization studio for free from here, right? Similarly, you have got other downloads available, Watson Studio, SPSS Modeler, Cognos Analytics, Planning Analytics, and all of them are available over here for download, right? Similarly, there are courses associated with these learning, right? The one that I just showed to you, Watson Studio, how you can learn machine learning and all. And then there are badges associated with this, which are, again, I said, there are foundation level badges, there are intermediate level badges and advanced badges, depending upon what stage you are at your learning. So you can actually leverage it in that way as well, right? So yeah, so you can actually have cloud computing, IBM Cloud approached or accessed through academic initiative portal, or you can even directly go there. Okay, I'll again take a pause here. Do you have any question for me so far? Anybody? If there is any question on chat.
Vidyotma, do you have any query? So she's asking how can we register for IoT applications?
Ma'am, does she mean how does she learn? How does she learn IoT applications, building IoT applications, or how does she access the platform for developing cloud for IoT applications?
Applications, and is IoT implementation free?
Yes, of course, the IoT implementation is free. So, couple of ways to learn it. Um, Let me show, right? So one is I showed you an IBM Cloud platform. There is something called as Watson, um, right? So I'll just show that to you. So if you go to the IoT segment here, there is something called as Internet of Things platform, right? So the moment you actually come onto this is a complete platform which offers integration to all sorts of hardware, be it your Arduino kits or Raspberry Pis or anything. See, this is entirely free, right? So you don't have to pay anything to anybody for up to 500 devices, which is very much, right? Up to 200 MB of data. And what you can also do is, in case you do not have devices, it also provides you with for simulators, right? So you can use those simulators as well, okay? And this is another link, developer.ibm.com/patterns. So let's say you are interested in learning IoT today, right? So let me quickly go to IoT, okay? So there are a lot of
Just,
these. So
please, Vidyotma, I've unmuted. You can put in front.
okay, so you have these code patterns available on for IoT. Let's say you want to learn something. How do you program with IoT, right? So see this. Uh, Detect anomalies in an IoT data set. Okay, capture a machine learning IoT application with Node-RED and TensorFlow. So let me quickly, open one of these. Let me say I want to open this. There are almost like 41 code patterns available for IoT. Okay, let me give you open one for you. You'll be able to understand what it is. Vidurpa, just a moment. If you can just mute yourself for a while, I'll just allow you to talk. So see this. I just opened up one of these code patterns, which is about IoT, right? It says develop a machine learning IoT app with Node-RED and TensorFlow. Okay, see this. Now, this is the description wherein it tells what are the various components which are being used. So it uses Node-RED, it uses TensorFlow. So what is Node-RED? So I'm sure people here know Node.js, right? The JavaScript, right? So for JavaScript, this is a complete GUI-driven tool, which is open source visual programming tool, Node-RED. You don't have to write the code here. It's like drag and drop. Okay, so you can actually use drag and drop modules here, and then just wire them together, connect them together, and you can define the logic at the back end. So you don't have to program them. Okay, I'll show you that. These are flows there, okay, but then this is not what I'm interested in. As a learner, I need, you can see the demo on YouTube, but then I need the code, I need the program, I need the logic, I need the entire code. See this, the entire code is made available over here, Okay, the entire code is made available over here, and the entire steps are also given here. How do you integrate it? So you have a TensorFlow.js web model, which is using a TensorFlow API, which is connected to a Node-RED platform, and you are integrating a Raspberry Pi, you're integrating a speaker, a camera here, and a browser with a webcam here. So these are the various things you're including, right? Now see this. You can watch the video from here, but this is how it is. These are the prerequisites that you need to install on your laptop. Okay, these are the steps that you need to do this. See, step 4 is steps, and the complete command is given here. One, clone the repo. So this is a command to clone the repo. Okay, then you need to move that directory where you have cloned it, right? Okay, then you need to install the dependencies. npm is needed, right? So this is the command for that, right? Then you start the Node-RED, right? So this is basically local deployment on your own machine. You know, I'll show you on a cloud also. How do you? So there is already a completely. They have given you a Node-RED flow. I'll show what the Node-RED flow is like. Okay, so see this. So these are the various pre-built-in pre-built-in modules, right? So you can simply drag and drop them, right? Depending upon whatever you need, right? So in case you need let me show that to you. In case you need a inject module, or in case you need a MQTT or a HTTP module, similarly, in case you need an output module, or you want to just connect to a database, so you'll find a database here. You just drag it over here and connect it like that. So it's so easy to do it. Okay, so let me go back to what I was showing to you. All right, it basically looks like this, right? See this. I'm just blowing it up for you. See these various drag and drop connections? All you have to do is you will have to pull them, connect them, and that's it. You don't have to write any line of code here. So you basically drag in a inject module, which is, and then you connect this inject module to a camera module, right? See this, it's just connections here. And you will have some, way of connecting. Even you can have those machine learning modules connected over here. So all of this is pretty like drag and drop. You don't have to program here, basically, right? So that's what is Node-RED. Okay, and entire this process is available to you on GitHub. Everything, even these flows are provided to you on GitHub. You don't have to even drag and drop. You can quickly start get playing with this. So a complete end-to-end solution is available, as part of these code patterns. So this was just one which I showed you. Okay, let me show you maybe something else, right? Let's say you want to create a automate post disaster check using drones, right? So let's say you want to use this, that after a disaster has happened, how do you capture the disaster prone location using drones, and how do you analyze those images, right? So again, I am not interested in all of this. I say I want to get the code. So click on get the code. It will actually take you to a public GitHub repo, right? Where you can fork the code, you can download the entire code, which is available over here, right? And even it gives you the complete, see this? These are the various symbols for controlling the drone, okay, let me scroll down. How do you actually train it up? How do you actually train the visual recognition model for this symbol language which is given above, right? So if you click on setup.md, you will actually come to a README file, which will take you through the entire process, right? How do you install a Snapchat, and then how do you download the Lenses Studio? This is a video for that. See, it will give you a complete step to do it. How do you do it? It will tell you a complete step of it, right? How do you pair your phone with the Snapchat app, and then how do you train this model? Where do you put all those JPEG images? Everything is actually given over here. So it's basically a complete project available, which you can quickly leverage. And this is a complete code for this, right? See this? These are the various images which you can leverage, and then so much is available. Everything is available actually here. All that you have to do is put yourself to learning, do follow all these steps religiously, and you'll be able to do this, right? And it's not just one or two. Similarly, they're almost like, just if you talk about IoT, they're almost like 41 such code patterns, right? And let's say in case you're interested in learning AI, for example, right? So let me just take IoT away, and let's say I'm just interested into AI. Now see, almost like 145 code patterns are available only for AI. Now, Let's say in case I want to build up a virtual insurance assistant, this is one. Let me find something more interesting for you. Um, let me say I want to automate a visual recognition model training. Okay, I can use this. Yeah, I want to validate a computer vision deep learning model. Let me open this up for you. Okay, and there are so many. There are so many. See this? There's so many such ready to use code patterns available which you can leverage on, which you can quickly play, and really understand how the code works. Okay, see this? There are more of them. How do you analyze satellite data? How to build an educational self-service chatbot, right? So you don't want to keep answering your questions of your students. So what you can do is you can educate a chatbot based upon a certain technology or a certain segment, whatever subject you teach, so that in your absence, that chatbot can really help in answering Q&A for you, right? All of this is completely done. You can just use them as is. So we were talking about how do you validate computer vision for deep learning models, right? See this? This is completely provided with some learning material and code pattern, right? I say I want to get the code. Again, it will take me to a public GitHub repo, right? See this? It will really help me understand how do I classify my images using Python and Power AI. There is a complete Jupyter notebook available. See this? The entire code is written in this Jupyter notebook. I don't have to write even a single line of code. See, I'm just showing it to you. It's just opening up for me. I just have to import this Jupyter notebook into my Watson Studio or into my Power AI, and I just have to execute the code. Okay, it's just opening up for me. Right. See this? See, the entire code is available here in this Jupyter notebook. All you have to do is just you have to, sort of run this code. All the dependencies are available. What all has to be imported is available. It will also have a reference to the data set where it is pulling the data from. The entire code base is entirely available here. And since it's having access to Power AI, so you have a deep learning engine also at the backend. Okay. How do you actually classify these metrics, the classification metrics? How do you interpret the confusion metrics? Everything is basically available over here. See, how do you calculate those true positives, true negatives, false positives, false negatives? Everything is available. All that you do is just quickly run this Jupyter notebook and you are good to go. The entire code is available over here, right? And as I was showing you, it also tells you how do you run this. So you scroll down, see this? It gives you the complete steps. These are the 8 steps here. How do you clone the repo? This is step 1. How do you access the Power AI? Okay. How do you create a data set? See this? It gives you the entire steps to do things, step by step, including commands, including images, to show you how it will look like. See, this is the complete UI for the Power AI Vision service on IBM Cloud. How it will look like, how it will show the precision, accuracy, recall, how the confusion metrics will look like, how do you deploy and test. Everything is basically given over here. It will also tell you where you find the Jupyter notebook, how do you run the Jupyter notebook. Everything is available here. What parameters do you need to change? Okay, how do you analyze the results? See, within maybe half an hour, you will be able to get beautiful charts, beautiful, data-driven, graphs which you can utilize, capture in your own projects, in your own research material. You can use that. That's so simple as that. Okay, so I'll stop. I'll take a pause here, and somebody had a question, right? So now you can unmute and maybe you can ask a question. Somebody wanted to ask a question, right? And I requested to mute.
So Preeti is asking a question, but her mic is not working actually. So
Sure, ma'am.
let me out the question for you. I'm trying to open a blockchain credential. I have an institutional email ID. After logging with IBM email ID and clicking on blockchain credential, it's showing requested resource is currently unavailable. So I think we
Ma'am,
should on that.
Can you repeat the question because your voice broke in between? I couldn't hear.
Okay. So like trying to open courseware blockchain essential, and she
Okay.
has got institutional email ID also.
Okay.
So she's not able to actually open that course.
Has she registered on the platform?
She has registered, but showing requested resource is currently unavailable.
So it may be possible that the particular resource that she is taking up is up for upgradation, right? So these courses they keep on upgradation, timely on different whenever there is an update happening. So they will be unavailable only for some time, at max 24 hours. That thereafter they'll be available. So in case something which is not coming up today, please do not bother. They will definitely be able to access that. In case she is referring to that, let me just try and access this. Um, Let me try and get inside this. Okay. In the meanwhile, in case there is any other question, you can feel free to actually ask it.
So no other question
Somebody's
from the audience is there.
okay. Somebody is saying, can these use tools be used for research purpose? Yes, these tools can be used for research purpose as well, depending upon how do you want to utilize them. So in case you have your own data set, you can take this data set to any of these services, Watson Studio or other services, and you can quickly get your outcomes generated from there. Okay, so she said that she is not able to access IBM Blockchain Essentials, right?
She's able to
So
access
I'm
all
just,
other courses.
ma'am, this is available. This is right now there. This content may have not been available earlier because this was under updation. It says newly updated content. We have updated the course very recently. Now they can take the course.
I hope it is clear, Preeti.
I hope it is now available. You can actually go and sort of access this course. Okay, so there will be a few courses which might be down for a while because they may be they're due for an update or something. So they may not be available for some time, maybe at max, I guess 24 hours, and that's it. But post that, okay, one more thing. In case you do not get access to it because not all colleges will be part of the academic initiative program. In case it says that your college is not part of academic initiative program, please you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I can help you or your college to get enrolled for this program. Okay, so yeah, few colleges may already be a part of this, but then few may not be. So they will actually get a message that your college is not a part of this program. So in case that is the case, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to assist you with that. Okay. Okay, so this was one piece of the conversation. Now you understand how this AI portal can be leveraged to learn various technologies you know um, there are courseware associated with this. There are digital learning, digital batches associated. You can download a lot of software for free from here. Even something like even a quantum computing, which is so much recent, you have content available on quantum as well here, which you can leverage from this, right? So if you see, IBM has made available its quantum computer called IBM Q. So IBM Q can be, accessed from here. You can request access to IBM Q, which is a 53-qubit quantum computer available on cloud. Similarly, there is a courseware available here on Qiskit, which is basically the programming kit for quantum computing. Qiskit. It is available for educators, particularly faculty members, who can download from here. There are also ready-to-use ready-to-use course codes available for Qiskit, which anybody can leverage on, right? So there is something called as Qiskit Aqua, which is actually a library of various quantum computing algorithms for different applications. Somebody who wants to have access, they can even access the Qiskit Aqua from here, right? So almost everything is available from here, which you can leverage on, right? So hope this helps you in your learning. So this is one part. There is something else also which I would like to bring to your notice. In case you are looking to have deep technology skills, okay, I will quickly take you through a few more slides before I come back on this. IBM offers another program called Skills Academy. Okay, this Skills Academy offers more deeper skills, more hands-on skills to faculty members and students, right? Now, why is this needed? I'll come back to this slide later on, but I will quickly tell you what are the technology areas which are available right now in which we have got Skills Academy courses, right? So we have got courses across AI, we have got courses across data science, we have got a course on IoT, blockchain, cybersecurity, design thinking, and quantum computing. Now, these are like 75 to 80 hours courses, okay, which typically has 3 modules, right? So there is almost like 25 to 30% of theoretical learning. And then there is like, 30%, 35% is almost like hands-on lab exercises. And there is another 20%, 25%, which is around group exercises, right? Which is part of this overall learning. The idea is to make more inclusive learning. We call them as a practitioner approach, somebody who is hands on, somebody who knows the technology in and out, somebody who can develop projects with that technology. So this is what is the objective of Skills Academy courses, right? So that you actually do lectures, you do labs, you do group work, but then you have some industry use cases on which you are working. You have some real world challenges to solve that you are working on, right? And all of this is powered by something called as design thinking approach. Okay, so this is, I'm not sure if you are aware, but then this is something which is a approach which industry takes up while they are trying to work on projects. A design thinking approach to identify the MVP, right, the minimum viable product. Okay, because people just not start coding, right? Before getting into the coding, they really understand the requirement analysis from different stakeholders, and then once they have the entire view, they consolidate it using the hills approach, using the design thinking approach to identify something called as MVP. And then we start coding through that, identified MVP. That's what is the typical approach of development of project. So we build, all of these courses have a compulsory module of design thinking. Now we offer faculty members a completely free learning to this, right? The faculty members are offered free T3s, which are spread over 3 weeks at the rate 2 hours per day. But only point is, you should have the visibility that your students will be actually opting for this, for learning that particular course in next 6 months. Then only we make you a part of that virtual T3. And these courses come with a small price, by the way, right? 2,500 rupees per person. So which has to be paid by whosoever is subscribing, not the faculties, but then the students. So yeah, it's not entirely free. But what happens is, when as a faculty you get trained, this is what you get. You get an instructor badge for that technology, right? So for example, if you're learning AI, you get an instructor badge for AI. Similarly, if you're learning blockchain, then you actually get an instructor badge for blockchain. This batch basically enables you to teach these courses on your own, right? So the reason that why do these T3s for faculty members is, we really encourage faculty members to upgrade their own learning, upgrade their own content, and thereafter they can deliver it to their own students at their own pace. So that 75 hours of learning can be 1 hour per day, 2 hour per day, depending upon how it fits into the academic schedule, right? There is no force feed to that, right? Similarly, when a student completes the course by, once the faculty teaches him, what he gets is a practitioner badge, right? Like this, an AI practitioner badge or a blockchain practitioner badge, right? And everyone has to do this design thinking badge, right? It's a mandatory badge. Again, this design thinking badge is free, right? But then it's mandatory to do it along with the any course over here, both for faculties as well as the students, right? So eventually for that 2,500 rupees, you really get 2 badges, right? One is a technology practitioner and then the design thinking badge, right? So, people who would like to, really dig in their heels into one of these technology areas, they can reach out to me for more details of this program. And maybe I can help them understand more about it. So I'll not go into the details of this because this is not the agenda today. This is just sort of, telling you that there is an offering which you can make use of for learning yourself. Okay, so let me go back to the the cloud here, and I want to give you a few demos to various cloud-based services. Okay, so there are various demos which are already available here. I'll quickly, show that to you, right? So there is a demo available on Watson Assistant. As I was telling you, there was a service available on Watson Assistant, right? So Watson Assistant is nothing but a conversation service, right? It helps you configure a chatbot. Okay, so that chatbot can be customized upon different things, right? Let me show that to you. Yeah, so that chatbot can be configured upon various use cases. It can be configured for a banking, it can be configured for a insurance as an insurance agent, it can be configured for different things, right? So if you see here, you get a complete hands-on labs which are available here for doing all of this available things here. You can configure it in different context. Okay. Similarly, for the Watson Studio, we have got a few, demos available here, which you can leverage on your own. Let me try and get a few more things over here. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, see this? This is basically a banking virtual agent demo. So this agent can talk, this agent can, type something based upon what you are asking it, right? So right now this agent is trained for helping with credit card payments, right? And it already has details for these cards, right? So let's say you are a user and you are using these three cards, and this agent can help you with this. So let me quickly try and write something here, right? So it tells it basically can help me payment of one of these cards. Let me say I want to. I'm just putting some random number over here. Okay, so I've entered a wrong credit card number, which is not in the the trained entity set which is available with this chatbot, right? Let me say I want to make a payment. Okay, let's understand. Okay, okay, so it says you can go to the payment information page, or in case this is the account list that it has. So let's say I want to make payment for 5624. Okay, so it says the payment for credit card is 5624 is due on Sunday, July 26, 2020. You can choose one of the options today or due date. Okay, so let's say I want to make a payment on due date. Um, okay, so it says minimum balance is 430, minimum is $50. How much would you like to pay? So let me put some wrong number, wrong information here. Let's say 100. So it is picking up this text here as $100. I did not say numbers, right? So I say no, no, it's not correct. Now I'll put some numbers here. Let's say I'll put 140. Now see, it will again be able to decide that it will get $140 from the overall $540 payment. Okay. So it says when would you like to pay? I can say today, tomorrow. Let me say I want to pay 10 days later. I'm just trying to complicate my conversation with this. So it's not able to understand 10 days later, right? Because it's either it will get today, tomorrow, or it will actually understand some date. So I'll say tomorrow. So it is basically picking up the day. It says, okay, tomorrow, Sunday, you can pick up. Okay. Okay. So this is how you can actually utilize, right? Now, again, if you go and see, this is again available for is available on GitHub again as a uh, GitHub repo is available here, right? And then it has got two flavors: a simple chat application or an intermediate chat application, right? So even there is a more complicated version available here. This is the public GitHub repository, which has the complete code available for this Watson assistant. See this? You can see a demo of this app, or there is a complete prerequisites. How do you use it? See, along with the entire line, how do you do it? With how do you write? How do you create a service? Everything is made available. You just have to simply put yourself there, replicate the steps, and it will automatically be able to help you to create that demo, right? So you don't have to bother about doing anything. See, it is showing you how to do things, right? So there is in everywhere there is an embedded video, or there is like a set of commands which are available to you, which you can quickly leverage, and you can sort of show it to, or learn it yourself, or show it to your students, right? See, I can scroll down, it will show me what all various parameters I need to change, where is the API key which I need to replace, everything. In case I don't want to do this on a cloud, in case I want to do this locally, see, this is running locally. This was running on cloud, right? In case I don't want to run this on cloud, I want to run this locally, there is separate set of instructions here. First you install the dependencies, then you have the cloud CLI, and then you can actually, this is another application which you can do. Once you have the application, you can push the application users using a CLI. Okay, so this is what is all about, various learning opportunities which are available over here, right? And uh, let me, yeah, let me go back to the, so this was that demo, right, that we were talking about, right? See here, this has completely listed down the various, various labels, various intents about this chatbot, and I can go ahead and I can actually, sort of added this, and I can work with this better. See? These are the various intents which this has been configured with. Okay. Okay. So I will move away from here. I'll actually go to something else for you. You have already seen this. Okay. Let me try and show you another demo here, the discovery demo. And by the way, all of these services are available on IBM Cloud, right? As I was telling you about. Okay. So if you go to the catalog, and if you go to the services, and if you go to the AI machine learning service category here, this is what it is. Watson assistant service, the demo that we just saw. This is the discovery service, the demo I just opened up for you, right? So I'll just quickly show it to you, right? Yeah, you see this? This is another discovery service demo. So what discovery does is, this is right now using a discovery news data collection for recent articles. You can actually do it for identifying research articles on different topics as well, right? So let's say I am interested in some company, let's say Tesla. So it can actually give me information for up to last 2 months, and I can actually, customize this even for previous duration, right? Now it pulls all the news offerings, all the information around Tesla company in last 2 months, and not just that much. It also tells me the various top entities in those. What's basically being people being talking about, and then the sentiment analysis available on the content which is extracted from the various news articles in last 2 months, right? and and what are the source, whether it's CNET, whether it's America bankingnews.com or investors.com, and then what is the prevalent sentiment, right, from that particular news source, and then an overall sentiment, right? If you see this, what are the various anomalies that it detects? It comes with a complete beautiful graphs and charts, right, on a day-wise basis, right? What is the trend of various co-mentions, what sort of positive, what sort of negative sentiment which is available over here, right? What are the various entities you saw that it was Nvidia which was mentioned there, right? Then there is something called as Tesla plus California again, right? Some sort of negative sentiment around, right? uh, so it basically, then there is something between Tesla and Ford, sort of correlation between two entities. and there it says it's positive, right? So it basically gives you that sort of details here. And entire application is again is made available on GitHub. See, I'll just open it up. So I'm saying give me the entire code base. This will open up a public GitHub repo, which is a Node.js application. See, the entire code base is on JavaScript, which you can leverage from here. See this? These are the various prerequisites. How do you configure the application? Steps available, and how do you run it locally? The entire process is available over here. So that's the beauty here. How do you can, it's elaborate documentation available here, elaborate learning content available here. All that you have to do is you have to, sit and identify what you really want to learn, right? Once you identify what you want to learn, then you can find the relevant content around learning that topic. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll quickly again take a pause and I will like to, get some answers. In case you have any queries, I'd like to, answer those queries here. Please feel free to put it over a chat or unmute yourself and ask your questions. There is no point me keep talking unless you have some queries or questions, right? I can keep on talking like one-way communication, simplex communication, right? So unless you have a question, you want to clarify that. Any questions, guys?
So Vidma is asking, courses and are these paid or you have already
I've already
course?
told everything. This is available for free. Only the Skills Academy course is offered for paid, which is again 2,500 rupees plus 18% GST per person. That's it. But otherwise, everything is for free. So, for example, this is the Skills Academy course for cloud computing, right? The one that I told you, right? Now, see this. Under the same, this is which was the the paid one, right? Um, so this is like, the entire learning is basically made available under the same page. You don't have to go here and there. See this? Lecture 1, lecture 2. Each lecture will be coupled with some labs here. See, lecture 3 ke baad there is a lab there. Similarly, after lecture 4, there is a lab there, right? Again, after some lectures, there will be some labs there, right? How do you use a multi-channel support? How do you actually have some sort of security embedded there, right? There is a good mix of labs and theory. Then I was telling you about the design thinking, right? How do you actually conceive a solution? There is a module on design thinking. Once you have done that, these are the few challenges which are available, right? How do you integrate in for a stock market? How do you actually build a banking application? How do you build an airline booking application on cloud? All of this is available, right? It's not just theory. So it's basically a combination of, as I said, 30% of theory coupled with 30% of labs and another 20-30% of group exercises, right? So this is the one which is paid Skills Academy. Rest everything which I've showed you, including code patterns, including AI academic initiative portal, this is all offered free of cost. There are no charges associated with that. So be assured of it. Even the
One more query, can you guide the flow of Watson IoT course?
okay,
Watson IoT course and the flow which could be followed for perfect expertise.
ma'am, this is okay. So for learning what's an IoT, it's pretty easy to do that. Okay. I showed you there is a service called IoT platform, right? Which you can spin up for free and you can start playing around with that, right? So let me also try to show you something here. So I am on my dashboard. I'm just trying to see if I have a IoT application which is up and running so that I can show you. I haven't been using these applications for a while, so let me just see in case they are working. Let me quickly try to launch it. So I will go to the app URL in order to launch the application. Okay, so I am on my Node-RED editor. This is what I told you. Let me go to that flow editor. Okay, so this is what I was telling you about, right? The functions, the network, right? Various sort of outputs, right? You can have various parsers, right? From CSV to HTML, JSON, XML, YAML. You can just have drag and drop sort of databases which are available, various Watson services which are available. All the ML services are basically available, like pre-programmed modules. All that you have to do is drag and drop them, connect them, and you're good to go, right? Let me also try and see if that has come live. I'm just trying to see in case one of those is up and running for us. Okay, let me say visit app URL. Okay. So what I have done is I'm simply using those the IoT platform available on IBM Cloud, and IoT platform is nothing but powered by Node-RED service, right? So it's pretty easy to do it, right? So let's say this is, for example, a sample flow, right? Where you have an inject button, right? You used one of these service called visual recognition service, and then you have, some sort of a, in order to configure the service, you don't do much, right? Right now, I have given some image over here, right? This is the payload. This is the image. Let me see if this image is working, first of all. Let me just open up and check if this image is, if there is something available there. Okay, this image is no more there. So I will just try to go to some other image first of all. Okay, seems they have moved out a lot of things from here. Okay, I'm just trying to pick up an image from some place which I can give to my um, my service. Mm, okay, so let me just try and pick one of these images from here. Hmm. Okay, I'll just try to copy an image address and see if the image address is correctly being picked. Okay, I will go back to my Node-RED service which I was using. See this? Now what I'll do is I change this image URL here. Okay, and I'll say done. And so I've done nothing here so far, guys. I've only done two things. When I've got an inject node here, I have got a message node here. See this? Message node and debug node, inject node and debug node. I have, sort of pulled a visual recognition service from my Watson offerings here. See, there is, these are IBM Watson's offerings, right? Really, you'll see a image recognition service somewhere. Yeah, this is the visual recognition service, right? And I've just connected them. Nothing, I've not done anything here. So I say I want to deploy this. So it says successfully deployed. Let me say I want to inject it. It says injected. Okay. Now see this. See, The moment I inject this, the service basically reads from that, okay? And what it has got, let me see that. So this is the URL which I have actually given to this. It has come back. It says it has identified something there, some object there. Okay, what is that object? It says it has classified the object into various. It says it's an image elephant, and it is 82.1% sure about it. Right, right. So I hope I'm able to make this thing clear to you, right? Similarly, it says it's an elephant and it is 96.9% sure about this, right? So what it did was this visual recognition service read the injected content. What was the content? A URL, and it analyzed that content within no time. You saw less than a minute, right? Maybe a 2 seconds or 1 second, right? And it is able to give me this. Now let me go ahead and let me change the image over here and let me say I don't want an elephant this time. I need a, let's say, what should I do? That's a cow, right? Okay, and now I'm basically going to grab an image of some cow from here. Okay, and I just want to check that I'm passing on the right address to the service. So I don't want to check this. Okay, it's correct. So I will again go here. I will reconsider with this service and I will update it with the new URL. By the way, this can be connected to some file. This can be connected to something else as well. So don't say that, don't worry that I'm only giving it a URL. It can be anything. And I'm redeploying this model, right? So it says deploying successful. Now I say I want to inject it. So it's injected into the system. Now let's try and see what has happened here. Okay. Let's see this. This is the one, right? The second one. Okay. This is the payload which I gave cow.gbit, right? And what is the result I'm getting? Let me try and see. It says it's been able to identify an object here, and this is the classifier for the object. Okay. Let me dig into it further. It says it has got some classes. Let's see the object in that class, right? It says, yeah, it says it's a cow, and it is 88.3% sure that it's a cow, right? Which comes in the category of animal, mammal, right? Similarly, there is another category of mammal. It says it's 94.9% sure that this image is of a mammal, right? Then there is a category of animal. It says it's 94.9% sure that this is an animal. Okay, then it's got further in detail, right? It says it is another class says Guernsey cattle, right? And then it basically classifies. It says it's only 50% sure that it's in that category. Okay, it says it's a dairy cattle, and it's 53% sure that cow is a dairy cattle. The images basically passed on of that is a cat is a cow. Okay, you see that this is basically various objects against which it is even able to pull up colors. It says it's a pale yellow color. It is 78.4% sure about it, and there is some amount of greenishness in the color as well, and it is 71.7% sure about that, right? So within a fraction of a second I'm able to do that, right? And then I can actually have so much more. I can create that, right? So I'm not getting into this, but then I showed you those code patterns, right? Those code patterns can really help you doing that. There is something called as IoT recipes also. Okay, so in case you are interested in learning IoT, there are some IoT recipes which are very strong learning platform, very deep down, right? How do you use that? You can use them here. Hundreds and hundreds of recipes, right? From how do you connect a Raspberry Pi or a Arduino kit? How do you connect a wireless IoT network, right? How do you do a predictive maintenance using a Maximo Predict? All of them. There are hundreds and hundreds of recipes over here. Okay. How do you use a weather data? How do you actually see this? Tens of recipes available here, particularly regarding IoT, which you can leverage on, right? How do you connect a Texas Instrument kit to a IBM Cloud? How do you connect a Raspberry Pi to an IBM Cloud? So there's so many of them, right? All that you have to do is you have to actually get started and put yourself to learn. That's all you're needed to do. I hope that answers your question, right? Okay, somebody has a question saying that could you please ask for quantum cryptography as well? Okay, so when you actually access the IBM Q, you are presented with an opportunity to run your own code there, right? So it's like you get an access to the quantum computer and you can deploy your own code there. So that code can be anything that you want to run, right? So let me show that to you. Mm, okay, yeah. So in case I'm not sure if my access is expired or not, but then in case I would have access, I can actually run my own code on this IBM quantum computer. Let me try and sign in. This will help me actually, get access to the quantum. See, it's available to anybody. Right. So I can actually compose my experiments from here. Okay. These are already some experiments which are running. Okay. Uh, they're already okay. So see this. Um, right. So there is already some applications, some job queues available, which are available, right? So I can go and I can try and submit my sort of code also here. I can run my code directly, on there are some ready to use code base already available. If you go to the docs, the entire documentation is available. See, it says drag and drop programming, no coding required, right? So you can even try that. Create your first quantum circuit. So once you have that, right, you can run whatever code that you, in case you're interested in cryptography and you want to experiment cryptography with quantum, so you can definitely bring up your code here and you can run your code on the quantum computer, right? This is some sort of a learning wherein you can understand what is a qubit, what's the different gates, how do you actually learn that, right? So how do you get it started, right? So all of that is available. You can do that. I hope that answers the query, right? See, this is my circuit composer. So I've got a 53-bit computer, quantum computing platform, which I can help, to compose my circuit. So this is the composer guide. There is a glossary of the terms. These are the various milestones where you can, add subroutines. You can drag and drop these, various gates depending upon how do you want to actually work them with. Okay, and yeah. So this is how do you actually, compose a circuit on a quantum computer. I hope that answers your question, sir. We will get all learning in quantum also, just like IoT, of course, right? So quantum is still evolving. So whatever is basically getting evolved, you will definitely will have a complete concept of learning, with that, right? So you have various toolkit, you have Qiskit available here, you have other visualizations available here, which you can really leverage, right? See this? You can have a state vector, a density matrix, or a measurement probability for whatever code that whatever project that you're submitting. right? You can save this code. You can actually bring another code. Okay, any other question, folks, on the call? Any other thing that you would like to ask? Ma'am, is there any other question that you have?
No, sir. Right now, there's no question. We can move further.
Okay, so in case there is no further question, I will stop here because as I can go on talking about what's many slides, I've got so many other things to show, but then I will leave it here. In case you have any queries, feel free to come back to me and connect with me on LinkedIn. For academic initiative, you can actually go to ibm.biz/academic. This is the link to access it. Okay, for Skills Academy, I'll quickly give you the link as well, where you can understand where is the available link for Skills Academy content. This is the link for Skills Academy. Okay, I want to should be putting it to all attendees. This is the Skills Academy link. Okay, and this is the academic initiative link. All that you need is an institutional email ID to get access to academic initiative. It's completely free of cost to access. You can very well access the various courseware, various digital badges, various learning material which is available here. I also gave you one link of code patterns, which was sort of ready to use code patterns were code which you can leverage on. I'll again give that to you on the chat as well, so that you can sort of use it. There are like 300 plus code patterns across different technologies, right? So depending upon what you want to learn, you will get actually flavor of everything. I'll quickly give you one more view of here. So see here, almost all the technology that you can think of is listed over here. I'll just sort of increase the font size. Okay, and you see this? Whether it is analytics, API, AI, blockchain, containers, conversation, data management, data science, databases, deep learning, front-end development, IoT, Java, JavaScript, Linux, machine learning, microservices, um, and mobile development, natural language processing, Node.js, PHP, object storage, predictive analytics, Python. See, almost every technology that you want, you will actually be able to leverage that. And these are close code patterns available, across these, right? So somebody is asking, what is this? Please explain. I just gave you a demo of all of them a while back. In case you want to do it again, let's say you want to learn machine learning, right? So let me just click on machine learning. So there are almost like 54 code patterns on machine learning, right? So let me try and get into one of these. So you want to build an object detection model, right? For identifying license plates from images of cars. This is one. Then you want to, sort of accelerate reverse image search with GPUs, or you want to learn, to predict machine learning analytics for predicting outcomes and optimizing operations, right? So there are 54 such code patterns. Let me just dig into one of these. Let's say I want to identify the license plates from the images of cars. So I'm just getting into it. So what it effectively means is, I'm using a computer vision API so that I can identify that image and I can read the numbers there and I can train my model from that, right? So see, it uses a Python OpenCV library for the OCR, and it uses a Tesseract OCR to detect specific fonts, right? Now, this is not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in, as I told you earlier, I'm interested in the code, right? So let me click on get the code. So the moment I click on get the code, I again come to a public GitHub repo, right? This is the public GitHub repo, which again gives me the entire code base, which I can download, which I can fork, right? I can download it as a zip, I can fork it in my own GitHub repo. Now see this. Uh, this is the architectural diagram of the solution. What are the various components? This is the car, this is the actor, this is the UI. which is basically using a Power AI vision service to grab the thing, and then it is using a tesseract OCR for identifying the various images there. These are the various components in this solution. Okay, what else? This is the flow. First, a photo of the card is uploaded into Visual Insight, then a recognition model identifies the license plate, then it does a post processing of the script, and then finally you have these images which do a binarization, edge detection, rotation, border removal, and then finally you have a image which runs through the OCR library. These are the prerequisites, right? So this is what it is you have to do. So it gives you a complete steps when create a Kubernetes cluster here. So it has given you this. If you go back to my cloud account, right, and if you go to the catalog, I'm just showing you how easy it is to replicate the steps here. Just say it is saying Kubernetes, right? It showed the Kubernetes. I've searched for Kubernetes, right? Okay, see this Kubernetes service? Okay, so let me go back to the code pattern. It says create a Kubernetes cluster. So it will create a Kubernetes cluster. It is automatically being done. Once it is done, it says upload training images to IBM Visual Insight. So I will have to have a IBM Power AI Vision service created. Okay, so let me go back to my cloud. See this? So here I can quickly create a Kubernetes cluster for free, right? And yeah. Mm. So once I create a Kubernetes cluster for free, then I can train a Power AI service, right? So all of this, whatever is written there, can be done quickly followed, and you'll be able to do that. See, you can create a Kubernetes based cluster, or you can create a Red Hat OpenShift based cluster, depending upon whatever is the requirement. Okay. Then the second thing it talked about was Power Vision, right? So let me see. I'll go back to the catalog and I'll search for Power, and I say search. See, I will have a service which I'm looking forward to over here. Okay, so there are a lot of services with the term power. Let me quickly refine it. Power Vision. Okay, see this? It says custom vision model for core ML with Watson, right? Okay, let me go back to my UI here. It will help me to build my model with all the images, right? So my images are already given. If you go back at the top, in this Kubernetes cluster, which is already made available to you, you will actually have the images uploaded there. Okay, so you don't have to bother about that, right? Okay, this is the Python code for the initial commit. See this? Okay, and it also talks about where you get the data. This is the zip file which you have to upload, and there is also the these are the requirements.txt file, which basically talks about what is the environment that it is creating for you. This is for the Kubernetes cluster which is creating, right? So entire process is detailed out here for you, which you can quickly follow and get it started with. So I guess there is no better way of learning things than this. I'll stop here. In case you have any query, you can feel free to ask me. In case you have any questions, maybe later on you can connect on LinkedIn and you can ask me there as well. So final round of question, in case you have it here, I'll be more than happy to answer. And yeah, let me know in case you have any question. Any questions, folks on the call?
No, sir, no queries. One participant is saying we have no questions as you are explaining so well.
Well, ma'am, thankful for such kind words. But then, we all are teachers here and we all understand, this is like a double-edged sword. So either you're getting everything or you have shut yourself from getting everything. So I'm not sure how it is. I hope you're able to understand what I was able to explain all this while. And since most of you are faculty, so you might be knowing most of these content as well, right? But in case you have any query even later on, feel free to reach out to me on my LinkedIn handle or my Twitter handle. I'll be happy to answer.
So it was a wonderful session. We would like to see you, sir, if you don't mind.
You'd like to see me, okay? Well, I'm not in a very good, well-kept state, but then yeah, sure, why not? So when we work with at home, so we are in like, you can understand sort of yeah, you would know how a person works from home, right? Um,
Uh, Thank you so much. And thank you, sir, for the demonstration of working solution cloud. And I hope our participants will surely be benefited with practical cloud operations. I'm also thankful for all the participants for being attentive during the sessions. And uh, I really thank you, sir, for sparing your valuable time. Dear participants, Shelly ma'am will share your feedback, share feedback form to you. And I request all of you to kindly share your feedback with us.
sure, ma'am. Thank
So,
you for your time. It was a pleasure joining you today. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everyone.
so let me end the session now. Thank you one and all.